Okay, so I've decided to do this into one video. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the final episode of HBO's Last of Us review. I know I'm a week late. For one, it was March break, and I didn't want to post during March break. I wanted to spend time, take a break during March break. So, and I know I've been kind of lacking with my schedules and stuff. I haven't really been posting too much and streaming. I finally got to stream this past weekend. So yeah, I do want to get into the last episode of The Last of Us and also the overall rating of what I will re-rank the episodes as. So, the final episode was the shortest episode, which I was shocked about. They definitely cranked the references and little Easter eggs up to the max, as both Abby and Ellie's voice actors appeared in this episode. It's really... What I'm going to say about this episode is that it wasn't the best. It ended off the show right. It ended it off just like the game. And I had this problem in the game too. The ending just feels abrupt. It feels like the journey just, they bumped into a wall. They can't move anymore. Like, it was like just crashing full speed into a wall. It just stopped. I had this problem in the game too, where they build up going to this hospital, and then nothing really comes of it. They kill everybody in the hospital. Joel does, and again, that fight section was easy. Yeah, you're gonna see the footage, and yeah, it does look like I struggled, but honestly, I didn't struggle as much as other sections. And you'll also see that guns were literally just floating, and I was confused. The game was lagging at this final section. And the show did what the game also did. The ending was very anticlimactic, one could say. The ending felt like, oh yeah, Joel just slaughtered all these people, he saved Ellie, and then it's like, yep, that's the end. Nothing. You'll have to wait until the second game. At the time of the game's original story, there wasn't a second game, from what I know. I'm not sure if they were planning to make a second game, but, we definitely got one, and I feel like the story just ends. And it feels anticlimactic because that final sequence in the game was easy, and I can say the same thing about the show. That final sequence there took like 2 minutes. He killed all the guards in 2 minutes. It took them... They just brushed over it. Again, they didn't like violence, so it was nice to see that Joel just slaughtered everybody, but Arya brought this up as well. Another problem I had. It's not believable. You hear that Joel is this... Oh, he's such a tough guy, He's so tough on everybody. And it's like, what? We don't see that. How are we supposed to relate this character to this other character? This Joel, you put him up on this pedestal, but you don't actually see that Joel is this character that they put on this pedestal. He's not a murderous, guy. And it just seems odd that he is murdering everybody. It's like, yeah, we've seen him go into a rage for Ellie once in the previous episode. In the previous episode, the episode with Bill and stuff. Or, not Bill. The previous episode with the cannibals. And it doesn't really, in the sense of what was happening in the cannibal section for the show, it's like, that's kind of understandable. You still don't, this is still your first time seeing Joel act like this. But, it's like, yeah, Ellie literally gave him a knife and had to run away. He essentially woke up to do this. And again, another problem that I had, it doesn't actually feel like he recovered. She gave him the antibiotics, blah, and then he kind of just felt better. He was able to slaughter everybody. And again, this is a problem I also had in the game. It feels like the character just recovered really fast, superhuman speeds. Either way, moving on to the show, continuing on, this episode also did another thing bad, as the way that they got to the hospital this time was they got snuck up on. Yes, this feeds off of that problem, as they're like, oh, Joel's such a good thief, he knows all the tactics, but then he gets snuck up on multiple times. He, sucks. He does the sneaking up on in the game. He's like, oh yeah? I'm gonna sneak up on you by throwing bricks. This Joel is like, oh, that's a pretty cool butterfly, and then he just gets hit in the back of the head. Okay? This Joel isn't a believable cold-blooded killer like they try to treat him as. And it just ends up not making a lot of sense for the story. I would rate this episode, I'm not even going to give it numbers because I'm going to re-review all of the episodes for the overall season of this show. I would say this one was, looking back on all the episodes, let me see. This is what, episode 9? So, there's been a lot of episodes, for sure. Last of Us. Yeah, there's 9 episodes. It's not worse than 2, but it's down there. 7 and 8 were good. 6 wasn't that good. 5 was great. 4 was okay. 3 was the best episode. I would put this above 6. Above 4, which was better than 6, which was better than 2. All the other episodes go in their own order. Either way, yeah. So, I feel like this episode wasn't actually that great. It definitely wrapped up the show properly, and that's fine with me, but it didn't feel like what they were trying to go for. They tried to go for Joel's this cold-blooded killer, but they don't actually show that within the show. They show him as kind of an idiot, and it just doesn't make sense. The ending doesn't make as much sense. Okay, now that we're done with the last episode, it's time to rank every episode. With numbers, okay? With numbers. Overall, I give episode 1 a solid 8. This episode is the baseline of the episodes. It was a very solid episode. It began the show. It had a little bit of problems, like they completely brushed over the start of the game and just instantly got you into that. But they also had good parts, like Joel beating up that guard after having a flashback to his daughter dying. And they definitely tell you how the virus spreads within this episode. And, they don't tell you, but they show you how Joel and Tommy weren't affected. All because they didn't have pancakes. Let's go, Joel. You woke up early and made eggs. Episode 2. The overall worst episode in the show. I'm going to give this one a 6. Again, it's not the worst piece of television, but it wasn't great either. It took everything about that section in The Last of Us and kind of took all of the development and character and emotion out of it. to show more of the zombies. This is probably the second best look at the zombies we have in the entire span of the show, though. So it is nice to see zombies. Episode 3 is the best episode of the show. I'm gonna go out and give it a 9. This episode was great. Again, it's not perfect television, but for the amount of changes that it made, I liked like all of them. I am a sucker for romance. I love Kaguya-sama Love is War. I love all the rom-coms. Okay, I love a ton of rom-coms. I like Nisekoi. You know, I'm a sucker for those kind of things. I don't know why I like rom-coms, but I like them. And it was nice to see that these two characters are having a relationship. It's also the second longest episode. Yeah, it's the second longest episode. So it was really able to develop the characters. Okay. Episode 4 is definitely I would say, it wasn't the worst. I'm going to give it a 6.6? 6.6, yeah. I think this episode definitely did some things wrong. It got the bandits all wrong. It got Joel all wrong. Joel is this guy who hits people with his truck, and they didn't hit him with the truck. And he's this cold-blooded killer. They keep on mentioning, oh, he's such a cold-blooded, ruthless guy. And then he flinches because it's a kid. In the game, he would be like, oh yeah, you know what this kid deserves? A brick to the face. And also what I don't like about this episode, and continuing on in episode 5, is that they try to make these bandits characters that have a backstory, and I don't really care to see that. I want Joel to murder them. That's what he does in the game, and that's what I wanted. I wanted a violent show. I wanted zombies, and I didn't get, any of that within the 4th episode. Nor did I get a lot of that in episode 3, but it's different. Episode 3 was a character-building episode. This episode was just yeah, Joel sucks. His hearing sucks. He got snuck up on. And also, he killed a kid. That was the entire episode. There was no development because they don't go further on with that. It's oh, Joel's gonna be more careful in the future. No, he isn't more careful in the future. Oh, Joel's gonna kill less children in the future. No, he slaughters everybody in the hospital still. It doesn't change the character at all, and I don't like that. This episode also really bugged me as the joke book wasn't right, and they took out my favorite parts about this section of the game, hit him with the truck, and the joke book, I'm clean now joke with the soap, and they took that out. I couldn't like it. 6.6. 5 was really solid. It had the emotion. It had the zombies. It had everything I was looking for. This episode has the second most amount of zombies, other than episode 2, which had a giant horde, but the zombies actually play a much larger part in this episode than they do in episode 2. And it's way better. They got the story right, and they made a small change to Sam. He's deaf now. Okay, it's a small change. Super small change. And I don't mind it. They took out, again, a lot. And I don't like that they take out so much sections. But they make up for it by making the characters still have emotion. And that's why I give this episode a 8.8. This episode was really solid. I'd say it's the third best episode in the entire show. It really got what I wanted, but also took out some, which is why it's only 8.8. Episode 6, Kin. I'm gonna have to admit, this episode is worse than episode 4. In this episode, this is the episode where Joel cries and then gets hit by a baseball bat because he sucks. This episode is purely dedicated to ruining Joel as a person. They just make him so he's a crybaby coward who sucks at combat and gets snuck up on. They keep on doing this to my boy. And that is the problem with most of the show. They treat Joel like this amazing cold-blooded killer, and I've said this like 12 times, but you don't see that, and this episode pushes that on you super hard. He starts crying, "Oh, I can't do it, I can't protect Ellie, oh no," and then he gets stabbed by a baseball bat. It's like, bullcrap, this isn't the Joel I like, and this isn't the Joel most people would like. Most people would like a Joel who's dependable. This guy, Ellie does everything for him. Okay, episode 7, Left Behind, was a really solid episode, and is in the contenders for the best episode, but it's the 4th best. 8.5 is a perfect rating for it. It was better than the first episode. It had the emotion, and I didn't even play the DLC. I've seen Aria play the DLC, though, and I think it got the emotion right, but it also, took out the parts with it kept in the parts with Ellie and switching between them, but it didn't do it the entire time. And either way, it was nice to see the relationship between the two characters, and the emotion was there. They got that episode right. Episode 7, solid episode. Now we're on episode 8. Episode 8 is definitely my second favorite episode. It takes the characters out of the game, their game versions, and places them into the show. And that's what I like. Lines were right. You had Troy Baker, literally the voice actor for Joel in this episode. Like, come on, this episode was great. It was probably one of the most accurate episodes. It took out only a couple of sequences. They were just like stealth sequences, though. They kept in a lot too. Again, they had a lack of zombies, but it felt like the Joel and Ellie I knew from the games, and I liked that. I was like, though looking at it from a show standpoint, point of view, is not great of an episode, because these characters are acting completely different, other than maybe Ellie. She's acting a bit less psychotic than before, but still, they still keep the characters that, like, they take the characters from the game and they kind of plop it in, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to what they've shown us. Okay, and as I've mentioned, the 9th episode, the final episode, 8, by the way, sorry, I completely got ahead of myself there. 8 gets a 8.9, right ahead of episode 5, and right behind episode 3. Okay, 9 is right in between 4 and 6, or is in front of 4, behind 6, which is above 6. So it is, I gave what? 4 a 6.6. Kin, I never gave its rating specifically. It's a 6.2 though. And then this is a 7. This episode was mediocre. It was okay. And I know I have 8s and 6s and no 7s, but that's just because I didn't like those episodes as much as I did the other ones. The other ones are, like, great. And these ones suck. Either way, yeah, that's how I felt about the show. Comment down below how you guys felt about the show, I want to hear what you would rank the episodes. I rank it, top episode is, 3, then you got 8, 5, then it's 1, then you got uh, 9, 4. Oh wait, 7 is sorry. 7's above 1. Sorry. 9 or 4, 6, and then 2. That is my ranking of the show. I'll see you all in the next review. Sorry this one was so long. I ranked the episodes. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the footage as well.